very much important that we incorporate women in whatever we're doing. Now, that being said, you can say, why is it that we don't have a woman in this panel today? Well, again, this is why we need to talk about women empowerment, because it's not easy to get women on board, because again, they still feel, you know, unequipped, or perhaps they might not go toe to toe with men in certain settings. If you look at our panel, we encourage a lot of women to come out on our platform. Now, some of them are shy, some of them are, they will tell you that perhaps we don't speak as good as you guys, which is not really true. There's nothing that we speak here that women cannot speak about. None of us are, you know, professors or what. So women always reserve themselves, you know, and this is the notion that we need to challenge, because you know that reservation is kind of, you know, underrepresenting them. Like in this show, you know, like we should have one female here, right? But I reach out, and then all of them will like, okay, you know, I think about it. Some of them will say, you know, I am busy. So this is what we want to eradicate. We want to bring them forward. We want them to be part, you know, and also taking responsibility in leadership role,
Right.
in getting paid the same way as men, having to do the kind of work that men need to do. Men are doing, women can do anything men can do. Um, so that's why we need to be a voice for them, so that they can be comfortable to be in a show like this settings. So I'm gonna let the panelists jump on this, and we're gonna hear from everyone, and then we're gonna digest this. Who is gonna build the cat?
Well, first of all, I want to disagree with you in some respect about the lack of invitation for women on this platform. I think if women are listening or watching, they will say that that's not a very strong excuse. The fact that maybe you've tried some big shots, you know, I mean, women who are in the top echelons of society, they haven't maybe responded to you positively. But at least it doesn't mean that one has to be top shot to be on this platform. I think there are a lot of avenues you could have reached out to get even a high school girl or college going student, or maybe anybody, ordinary woman, even someone who cannot speak English. We can accommodate here. Maybe he will speak one of the languages that Sam, Alex, and I or you will understand. So that's what I wanted to point out, because the thing is, yeah, I'm sure you tried some big shots, you know, some title.
Next time I'll speak German.
Yes. So, no, I mean, we are talking about the local government language. I'm sure you can speak Wolof, Mandinka. The only language that maybe guy can speak that we may not be able to understand here, maybe either Sere or Jola. Yes, because like I don't actually understand or speak those languages. But apart from that, if it is Wolof, Mandinka, Fula, you know, at least we are good to we can give it a shot. So that's what I wanted to point out. Because the thing is, when we talk about, you know, trying to for me, the issue of like women empowerment has been kind of a challenge that has been thrown at us, that as if women are not empowered. I think to a large extent, what empowerment some people may take it to be, like it has to be 50-50, you know, it goes beyond that. It has to be, you have to look at women from the prism of not people who would need assistance to that extent, because women are able. To say that they are not able or to say that they are weak is not to understand who women are, because we know that when you have a woman in the house, is stronger, and women are known to be more resilient than men. Even psychologists will tell you that, you know, the tendency for men to withstand heat or pressure is very weak, whereas women can withstand pressure. Even with this COVID-19 test, you know, there has been some impressive statistical data for that matter, that women, you know, stand to withstand, you know, the COVID-19, you know, more than men. And when it comes to sicknesses also that are terminal illnesses, women tend to survive more than men. And when it comes to even death, you know, you see men tend to live shorter than women. So to say that they are weak is not to understand, is refusing to understand the dynamics of who women are and what constitutes you know, the whole the whole issue. So for me, I think what for the purpose of the Gambian audience, or for the purpose of the Gambian segment of trying to empower women, is to just continue to up the ante. That is the pressure on our government or on the system, our own people, to understand that women, is high time we see them as equals, or it's high time we give them the rightful position they are doing in society. Because the number one responsibilities is at home. If somebody is not proven or tested at home, leadership starts from home. You are head of a household. If you cannot, for instance, why it is that it is always a criteria for a man before you become president? Anywhere in the world, I haven't seen a bachelor, you know, who is leading a nation, without a wife. Conventional. I mean, there are maybe here, how to put that, maybe exceptions here and there, which I don't want to digress to. You understand? But the thing is, most of the time they ask whether you are married because they want to know how strong you are. They want to see the kind of responsibility. If you can have a woman at the home, as wife and with children, then they can say, well, it starts there. This leadership, can really be given, can be tested, because when, for instance, he's given the responsibility of leading the whole nation, it can be seen that, at home he managed it fairly well. So let's give him. My tip. And like I said, you should have really extended this invitation to ordinary folks, maybe a high school girl or a college girl, anybody. I'm not sure those people will turn you down. Even if it comes to the issue of language barrier, you can have a translator. That's my take, Sawane.
Okay. That being said, thank you, Balde, for that. Now, you might be right. Perhaps we didn't reach out as to many women as possible. But again, when you look at the reception that you get, it's kind of a little, like different from men. What I'm trying to just point out is that it's not like a negative thing towards the females or the women, but what I'm trying to say is that there's always like, oh, men are more dominant in this,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I ndika malle kana katala kadiamu kafokono yajele ndika kitten, so that kind of hold back. That's what I'm trying to say. Well, if they get more empowered, we wouldn't be hearing such things. Instead, we would be like, yes,
No,
I'll
no,
be there.
no, 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 no. Sawane, before again allowing Sam or Alex, I'm coming here on the attack again. The thing is, why the women would feel that way most of the time is that we men are very antagonistic. Sometimes they will come and then we don't want to allow them space. Look at the case of Marisol. When she announced her bid to run as president in the Gambia, look at the photos that were displayed on Facebook or social media, as if that is all about her. So in other words, it's like a non-starter. Don't come in here. You are not supposed to be, president. You are a woman, something like that. So, but he was resilient, strong enough. Otherwise, if it was another person, he will back down. You will look just based on those pictures. That was very bad. You saw those pictures.
Well, with Maria Sox, I have to definitely disagree with you on that. It's not particularly about being a woman. Even you remember when Dr. Aissatou Toure was about to become a candidate, the reception that was received, you know, and then I believe with Maria Sox is perhaps the prejudgment that people have when it comes to like a dress code or the way she talks. And I will have to be honest to you. Her contents were not impressive to me as a person who observes politics. So I was like, maybe I even commented on her, press conference that perhaps this person doesn't even know what's going on in the ground yet. You know, somebody can just dream about becoming a president all of a sudden one night and just wake up and say, and he listen made about it. doesn't really mean that person is a fitting candidate. So Maria Sox, it hasn't. I don't think because of female, but I think it has to do with her representation, the way people, and again, people. It's not. It might not be the right thing. I will not do that. But you have to understand, people have the right to do whatever when it comes to talking and stuff like that. As long as it's not a threat or it's not like insulting someone. Well, if you insult a person, then definitely you want an apology because that is unethical. So, but again, women empowerment um, is definitely a need. So I will let the panelists look into it more closely. But what I'm saying is that the reason I'm not putting it in a negative way. The reason why I'm saying that we have even women underrepresented in this platform because of the fact that they are still having they may be still having that like hold yourself a little bit because of this masculine and then feminine aspect of things, which we are here to address today, and then also keep addressing it so that we can have more representation even on this show. You understand? So it's like a positive approach, not like a negative approach. And I know, Balde, you're gonna take the task of having to invite, women in this show. Definitely, I'll
I know,
No,
I know.
I will engage you on that.
no. Let me allow. No,
They have the right.
let me- no, no. Let me allow going to be attacking each other because I feel that I don't want to act as maybe I'm an advocate of Mary Sock, but the thing is, the moment she appeared, those display of photos about her were not really good because it's like, I mean, people should not be judged based on the color or based on how they dress. Remember, people must not dress because they want to be future president, or because tomorrow they are aspiring for a higher office. No, I don't think that's right to judge people based on that. People have liberal mind, to do what they think is appropriate. So you must not go into my photo archive and then display a photo and say this is it, and to score
But,
some
we,
political
but
points.
Balde, we have to look at everything. If you want to represent me, my country, I will look at everything and I will judge everything. You know why? Because everything matters. If you want to sit for that presidency, you have to work on yourself since you were born, because this is a world-class leadership. We cannot afford to get crazy people in the office anymore. We cannot afford to get people who are not, like, who are comfortable to represent us. I mean, this is the highest office in any particular region or area. So I am definitely saying that let's judge everything, even the dress code, even if you ever smoke, even if you ever drinks, you know, let's come out clean and then people judge. But if it's, I like the American style, let everything come out. Then after, people can judge and say, okay, we didn't know about it, we didn't know about this. Let's get everything out of the closet. Okay, let's let Sam and I'm pretty sure they're ready to fire on this.
Well,
Yeah,
what I would
fantastic.
say is I think when we get to election 2021, we can talk about presidential candidates at that time, I think.
Yes,
But
good point.
and of course that will include women. But for today, for the record, talking about women empowerment, I think it's very, very important that we start from where it needs to start. And where it needs to start, in my mind, is at the National Assembly, where they make the laws. And if you think about in America, they have something that was passed in 1964 called Title VII. Title VII of the 1964 Act shows that prohibits discrimination against anyone, women, men, and age, people age 40 and older. But also in that amendment, there is also an act that empowers women by saying equal pay for men and women. So if our National Assembly, and I looked at the current draft constitution, and that was one of the things that I pointed, there was something that shows um, rights for women or women's right. And in that, I said, what's missing in there, in my mind, is equal pay for men and women. We need to make sure we start there. We need to have the equal pay for men and women in the law, for men and women, but also diversity. You know, Gambia needs to promote diversity and inclusion. When I say diversity inclusion, you know, regardless of people's background, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what their tribes are, and whether you're Fula, Mandingo, Jolas, or Hule, it doesn't matter. When it comes to the government and operations, and also bringing people into politics and holding government offices, they really should be a good diversity and inclusion, but also equal pay for men and women. So I'll start with that. When I say equal pay for men and women, if if the government, in the government, it needs to start there. We need to include women in the government. We need to make sure that when we hire a minister or a director, for example, a director of something, and the requirements and job description for that director ask for certain qualifications, because the pay is so and so. Let's say the pay is $75,000 or $50,000 is a month, okay? If the pay is $50,000 a month for that director, we need to make sure that when a man is hired in that position and get paid $50,000, we need to be able to do the same thing for a woman. When a woman is hired in the same position in another ministry with the same qualifications based on the job descriptions, that woman also gets the same treatment, get paid the same $50,000, not 48, not even 49,500. It should be $50,000, just like we're paying the men. All right. If we start there, and we see that inclusion in the government, in public offices, women are taking power. They are also equally treated. People are going to see that, yes, this is coming from the top. If top starts doing that from a leadership role, then it can trickle down. It can trickle down all the way to that woman that owns a garden, and women are gardening. The government can think, and between the Ministry of Agriculture and the local governments, they can look at what can we do to empower women in their gardening. If they are doing gardening, how can we support them in their gardening? Because right now, if you look at women, they really work very hard in their gardens, and have all this produce that they plant, and when they harvest them, they really don't have any way to store them. They try to harvest as little as possible and take it to the market and try to sell it today. If it doesn't sell, guess what? It spoils. It spoils, and they have to get rid of that. That's a loss. For all year round, for all the farming that they do, the Department of Agriculture can say, you know what, between them and the local area councilors, they can say, you know what, when women are doing this, how can we support them by creating some cooling area, like build coolers for them and refrigerators in a storage area where they will, even if you're going to ask them for a small fee, even if it's going to be $50 is a month, you know, $50 is a month, you have a storage place, there's a big cooler area where everyone is designated, everyone that picks a place or do gardening in that area will have a slot where you can store your products. So if you harvest your tomatoes, here's a slot that has your name on it. That woman can go into that refrigerator and put their stuff there and have a better shelf life, rather than spoiling all of their products at the end of the day if they can't sell it. So creating refrigeration for them in freezers will really help, is part of empowering women to do what they love to do. Because not every one of them went to school, so they cannot all, not just like men, not everyone can hold a government office. So we need to be able to give them opportunities to do what they do best, by empowering them in that area. On the other section, on the other side, on the other note, women in my mind are very valuable people, and they're very valuable assets in our community, you know, from home. If you think about it, you know, the way I look at it, I respect women just like they are my mother. You know, my mother is a woman. You know, I have a sister that's a woman. You know, and we all have that. We have to think women from that perspective. These are these are our mothers, these are our sisters, these are our wives. How do you treat your mother? How do you treat your sister? And how do we treat our wives? This is very critical for every man to think that way, so that women can have the respect they need to have. From a clinical standpoint, I see women struggle. They suffer a lot when they are going to deliver a baby. You know, under labor, they go to the hospital. Their fellow women sometimes don't treat them right, and that should change also. The women should stand for women and really help women, help people. And people in the civil service and public service offices, they're there to work for people. They are being paid on taxpayers' money, so they need to do their job right without discrimination and without harassment. Because from what I've been hearing, sometimes women have trouble when they go to the hospital to deliver a baby. They are not being talked to very nicely. Some are being talked to disrespectfully. And if that happens, if I am a person that's in charge of that, for example, and that happens, that person, whoever that nurse is, that talk to that woman that way, that will be their last day at work. I will fire them on the spot, and they will go home, and I'll find somebody else that will replace them. That's going to treat people with respect all the times. It doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what color they are, it doesn't matter what political party they belong to. Everyone requires or needs equal treatment with respect and dignity all the times. So that needs to change from women's standpoint, so we can give them high respect. Back in 2017 or 18, in fact, I said, actually before elections, I said this, actually before 2016 elections is when I said this. When I realized that I was told that GMA built a mansion at Potomac in outside of DC, with that big mansion, they said is $3.5 million and all that stuff. And then I heard people saying that people in the Upper River Division, in the rural areas, really have very difficult time getting to hospitals. And you have women that are on the label. They have to put them on donkey carts, some on motorcycles. Think about all that vibration, and with all the bad roads that we have there, why should they have to go through that? That's when in 2016 I said GMA did not do the right thing. Gambians are suffering. Instead of building that there, he could have bought 2 different helicopters, medical helicopters. I said this in 2016 when GMA was in power. I said he should have that $3 million or $3.5 million dollar mention in Washington outside of DC could have really purchased 2 medical helicopters that could be stationed in Banjul. They can make plans for a helicopter. Doesn't need a runway to fly. They just get up and fly and go up, and they land just like that. So on top of Banjul Royal Victoria Hospital and on Bansang Hospital, they could find a place there where helicopters can transport people in very critical conditions, especially women that are in hard labor and suffering. Some even die. We could save lives if he had purchased a helicopter and put it in Bansang, one in Bansang, one in Banjul, that can transport people in critical conditions, especially women, because I was thinking of women at that time. And not only that, even accidents that can happen. But I'm not going to go further into that. We're talking about women here. In support of women, I hate to see women sit on a donkey cart, someone that's in labor. You put them on a donkey cart and transport them to the hospital to deliver a baby. The way I think is, if that was my mother, or what if that was my sister? What if that was my wife delivering my own son? Will I do that? Do I let that happen? That shouldn't happen. So women need to be empowered. They need to be given every right. They need to be given equal treatment. They need to be treated with respect and dignity, and with all moral rights, really, to be able to support them. And when we start that, the government starts that, it will trickle down. Everybody's going to see that women are very important. And I'll stop here for now. There's a lot more we can talk about this, but I'm going to give a chance to Alice.
Alice, yeah. So very important point. And Sam, I don't want to be born on a donkey cart. Okay, if somebody told me that that's where I was born, I perhaps would be, you will see my frown face now.
Yep.
But Alice, you can go. You can jump in.
Yeah, Sam, thank you very much. And Mr. Bale also. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. Uh, in fact, I'm also happy that we have such a topic today because, as you said, the women are not ready to come to us. But I think you are right. When it's open for everybody, but you know, I think the whole problem is also that it's a mentality problem. How I say everything, because we have been beating our chest since you know men. That's the nature. But the whole work is done by the women. You know. So and as time goes, generations are coming. Many things are changing in a lot of countries. We can see. That's why I have the hope that Gambia will also come one day, because even the Germans you see before, the women have only the kitchen, only the men were allowed to go to work. So as time goes, generations come, it change. Women started going to work also like the men, and now we are even having a woman leading the country. So I still have hope for Gambia. The whole thing is just a mentality change, then everything will be all right. We have seen it also in the Swiss, which is also here in Europe, that up to the last years, the women were even allowed to go to vote. You cannot imagine that. And that is here in the West. But that has changed also through the time and mentality change. So the fact that we are having these problems in our society in Gambia, there is also 80% the mentality in our society. You understand? In fact, it's a very good picture for the vice president to be a woman for Gambia, you know. So that will bring Gambia a lot of respect to show that Gambia is like that. But that is just the mirror, I mean, the top of the thing. So if you go down, you see that the change is not yet there. Like if you go to certain offices, you see that you have only men as boss, and so you have very educated women, very good educated women in Gambia. Sometimes there are certain this how to call it. They are not always sure that they are even better than their boss. You understand? So it's a kind of respect or fear that they even try to put down their qualification under the table. So this fear, this mentality should change because, as Balde said, if you see here on the streets, who are the people causing the accidents? Only the men, not the women. Women, they try to discover that they drive very carefully. Some will accuse them they cannot drive, but they're better than the men. They are very careful on the traffic and everything. You know, so they themselves have to understand that also, and not always trying to put themselves back because they can do more. But most of the time is that the governments don't support it, as Sam said. For example, the women uh, doing the agriculture, you know, the question is, what is the government doing for such people? We all know that they work hard. They work on their fields, and the little they have, they don't have any preservation techniques. If they don't sell it, and you know, to the lowest price, they are not going to have anything, or they are going to throw it away, which is also a loss. And I think the government should also try and help and respect these women because they are doing their best. What man can do, and in our society, I think we have to just show this respect to the women so that they'll have this confidence, you know, and open to the women. and tell them, look, you can do this. You can do this better. You know, that's the motivation. You understand? But there is always a problem. And in Gambia, to have, for example, a leadership being a woman, many men cannot understand that, and many men will not be happy about that. Many men will even quit away because they cannot accept it. You know, so that is also a mentality problem. We're still talking about the mentality change. I know it will change, but you know, maybe sooner or later the generations will change because Germany was also not like this, and today the leader is a woman. So these are the things. The men should also motivate the ladies and tell them, look, you are right, you have your qualification, you can be my boss, I'll accept it. You know, these are all ways we have to go fast, you know, and you know, tell them that they are okay, they can do even better. Then they'll not always feel shy, keeping themselves back, you know, putting their qualifications under the table. So I think this is a society problem also, and mentality problem. And when we come to leadership, I quoted it, you know, that's the problem. If a woman leading a company or something like that, if you don't mind, many men will not be happy with it in the Gambia. I know. Here was not like that, but it changed. You have many women being boss, and everything is very harmonic. You know, there's no problem or anything. It's just a mentality and the society, how the society accepts that, you know. For example, when a woman, Mr. Sawane is having a boss, is a woman, he is also going to be careful that he's being laughed to say, ah, how can you allow a woman being your boss? But why not? The woman is a human being. He can even get more qualified than Mr. Sawane, so she can also be the boss. Why not? When we men are doing that, nobody look at it, no comments, as if that is very normal. So why is it not normal for the women too? They are also human beings. As some said, they are our mothers. You know, they can do that even better. We have seen that here. Who is leading us? Yeah, for the development of the country, we have all seen what women are contributing. You know, because the development of the country doesn't mean that only men are doing it. Even the women are the civil servant. You can see they are doing a lot. The agriculture, you see only the women more or less doing a lot. You know, you come to the business, the markets, only the women are trying hard. You know, some men don't even do anything for the family. Only the women are feeding the family, really, because that's the love of a mother to the kids, so they take a lot of responsibilities, and they are very strong people. I know that from experience, especially Gambian women. They do everything for their men and for their family. I hope that they will also be treated like that. And this respect should come to the women, that the women feel that they are something, they are somebody. Not to beat them or kick them whenever you want in front of the kids and all these things. You know, when kids are seeing that, these are the kids who are going to have problems also having a leadership being a woman. Because they've been seeing that the man was kicking the woman, you know, hitting them, humiliate them in front of them and all. These are impacts, you know. That is also a thing we have to change in our society. A woman is not a dog to be kicked or insulted, especially the one who allow you and love you and create children for you, ready to die with you and everything. You know, these are things some men do it. How they are going to, what are the kids learning about? You know, that women are not just useless. They are just there to be kicked and insulted. My father used to do it. Yeah.
Can you hear Alex?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was from
No.
you. You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Okay, I can carry on. So they used to say every successful person, I think we used to hear it, every successful man is a strong woman behind him. You understand? So normally the women they do
I
this.
agree to that. I agree to that.
Yeah. Normally the women they do a lot, but the fact that they are doing everything in underground, many people don't see what they are bringing, and this also needs to be changed. The women should understand that they have nothing to fear. They have the same right as a man, and some of them are even more qualified than us. We have to accept it. So these people have to be respected, and treated also like qualified people, and always not to knock them down or hate them because they are even more qualified. Fight them. I think that is something we can do also. It's a mentality change. I know. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Alice. I think a takeaway from Alice is a very strong point that he just mentioned, that every successful man there is a woman, a strong woman. I think most of us can attest to that, because if the home is not being taken care of, if the home is not solid, if the home is having problems, I swear, no matter how smart you are, how creative you are, you cannot go out there and do great things. So we have to really embody that belief, and also kind of thank our women for that. Now, this topic is a very hot topic. Like somebody stated, we should have a woman in the panelists here today to be in this conversation, so that we can hear from a woman what these things meant. But again, we will always have a second time or more time ahead. I just wanna clarify a few things when it comes to women empowerment. Women empowerment is a lot to do with our society. Our religion has to have a factor on it. If you look at Islamic religion, which I practice, women are not fully granted certain rights like men. Okay? Whatever the reason is, I will leave that to God. He knows best. I'm not a religious preacher. But they said that even to go to heaven, if you marry to a man, it's in the hands of the man. If I'm a female, I think my going to heaven is in the hand of my husband. Definitely, there is no equation there. There's no equalism there.
And also,
So,
Charlie, just 1 second. Just yeah. Just let me interject here a few seconds. The thing is, it's also stated in the hadith by Rasulullah that heaven is under your mother's feet. I just wanted to add that.
oh yeah, okay.
Right,
So yeah,
right.
now, okay, mother and then wife. I mean, like spouse. So now, okay.
But
All
Mr.
right, so
Sane,
that is really understandable, because your mother is your parent. Beside God, who is the creator? Your mother is the closest one, right? If there is a second
right?
person to create you beside God, and we are not at a religious ceremony. I mean, someone here. We're just trying to look at everything with women empowerment. So women are very powerful in our society. We all agree.
Yeah, but
Now,
Mr. Sane, I just wanted to say something very subtly.
okay.
I'm always very careful, and people always come and say, yeah, in our religion, it is said this and that and that. And most of the time, if you ask them where is it written in the book, they cannot show you which page. So there are a lot of some men with their preaching, they use it for their own, how to call it, their own advantages.
Yes.
And
You understand? We have to be careful with that, because God created women and men, and you've said it, even the women are, our paradise is under our mother's feet. So that is showing you how God respects women.
but it didn't say on
Oh,
the woman's feet. It said your mother.
yeah, but your mother means a woman. You understand? Your mother is not a man, it's a woman. You know, so that means it's the most important person on earth. But
Yeah.
if I am a preacher, I'm trying to preach on my behalf, on my advantages, I can bring it different to the people. So these are things we have to be very careful with these top religious people and so on.
So
There are a lot of things. If you ask them where is it written, they cannot tell you.
okay.
And it's not
This
there.
one-
It's not there.
This one I can tell you what. So that one is written. It's Surah Al-Baqarah.
No, I know this one is written.
It
No,
says that a
I
man
know.
can marry up to 4 wives.
Yeah, this one you cannot also see it in the Quran. These are
Is
the
there?
problems.
Is there?
It's
I
not.
understand it.
You can show me which page and which.
I can show you. Yeah, I can show you that
Because,
it's in
you
Surah.
know, I mean, for me, how I understand it, it was from the prophet. That was the time of wars, and when the men came, sometimes there will be very few, and the mothers are standing with their children. So through that, it's just like social welfare, because it was not given that time. So through that, the prophet said, okay, for men who can afford to take these people under them, like the wife and the kids, they can do it. In fact, the idea is like social, how to call it? It's just like health, you know?
I understand, but
So that one, many people use it and preach it different, that they are, even if you look at the Arabs, they don't have that, and they know the Quran more. The Arabs, they are the people respecting their wife the most. You
no,
understand?
yes. But what I'm
Yeah, you
trying to
understand
highlight
that
here,
too. You understand that too. The Arabs, they respect their women more than everything. And you will
right?
not see them marrying 5, 6, or 7. The time of my
Well,
prophet was okay.
that argument maybe you're gonna say if you're an Islamic scholar, it's in Surah Al-Baqarah and it's in the Quran.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but you
however,
do
it
it
says,
when you can.
yeah.
Because
However, it
I will not
says,
marry 4
however,
people
it says if
and
we
make
can
them
treat
suffer.
them equally. So that is
Yeah.
the catch that actually is difficult to fulfill. But what I'm saying is that it didn't say a woman can marry more up to 4 men, but it says the other way around. So what I'm trying to put here is that we as a society is a lot of things that had make women and men and women in equal since in the get-go. But as we evolve as a society, as a civic, individuals, we need to elevate. We need to get to a level where women is also represented the same way as men. And also, there is a phrase that says all men are equal, are created equal. What they mean, and if you are in America here, if you read American history, even the founding fathers, they say all men are equal, created equal. Now, it didn't say all females are created equal, and it didn't say all people are created equal.
There's
Perhaps
also
all
discrimination.
men means all men and female. That is my
Discrimination.
interpretation. But
There's discrimination.
again, that's in the if you look at Thomas Jefferson, if you look at the history of the United States, you will see that all men are created equal. They should have said all men and women are created equal. I guess
Mr. Sade,
my
it's the same.
interpretation may be
You see,
they're talking
Samane,
about all men and women. But again, it is our duty, like we are
Samane,
in this platform, it's our duty now to know and admit, and also not only to admit, to practice this philosophy of all men and women are created equal. In fact, women even has an edge because they are the backbone of a family. They are the foundation. If you talk about foundation that everybody steps on, they are the foundation because that's where we get implanted. Although the man is the root, because all of us came from a man. We didn't come from a woman. Every individual being came from a man. Okay, that's where the root is, the root of the
Right.
tree. But we are planted in a woman. So women are the foundation. And I would respect both men and women, but I will even respect women more because to be a foundation means you take a lot of hit.
okay, all right, good luck. 100%.
Okay, to be the foundation, you take a lot of
Okay.
hit. You only not take a lot of hit. You are there for the children. You are the one who will go through all the stress, the crying, the changing of diapers. Although some men do change diapers, like myself, I'm not here to brag about it. Okay, the babysitting, while we are in the bantaba, enjoying our attire. These are the people in the house taking the heat from the children. So women are very, very much important in our lives, and perhaps should be given even more, in my observation, because of what they go through. And Balde mentioned one thing: when it comes to sickness, the way women are created is far more complicated than men. Look at us. That's why men die sooner than women, even this COVID time. Why? Because we just book it. We men just show power. I'm strong. I'm never gonna be conquered. All misconception. A woman is the one that can actually withstand, has resistance. If you go to the hospitals, if you go to testing hospitals, facilities, you barely see men. Who are there? Women with the children. They're getting the medical treatment. They're getting themselves equipped. That's why when you go to many households nowadays, you see a lot of women there. Older women, they will ask them their husbands. They say they died so long time ago. This is some of the things that is the difference. And again, women are gifted. What we need now is to elevate our society by giving them equalities in workplace, like Sam said, giving them recognition that they can do anything we can do. There's nothing that a man can do a woman cannot do. You might say ethically maybe to have a woman lead a prayer is not in our books. Why? Because maybe the feminine side of it, if this person lead a prayer and I'm praying behind her, being a female might get into my head and my prayer might not be answered. So those ones I understand. There are
Right.
probably some other stuff that can prevent women being at the forefront of certain things. I understand. But when it comes to mind, when it comes to physical, there are some women, they will knock me out in the boxing ring. And they will play soccer better than me and you guys. And they will do anything better than us. So I think, in this age, we also fear the fact that when women are empowered with finance, they probably will not be loyal, they will not be submissive. I mean, not submissive, or that's a harsh word. They might not, follow the lead of a man. So that's why some women are stopped from working
Yeah,
a
but
certain kind of job, because when they make certain kind of money, a husband talks, they say, "Oh, who are you? I can do this on my own." And not only that, if they become so educated, that's why most educated women don't have a husband or partners, because they are a threat. Why? Because men want to have their comfort zone. Men want to have to direct, to tell a woman, "Oh, baby, I want you to do this. I want this now. I want my food on the table. I want this now." As we Africans, we're very good at that. Not to take away anything away from that, because I don't want some people to get upset. Because a lot of people enjoys that, so I don't want them to be like, what's this kid talking about? But
you're
what I'm trying
spoiling
to
their
say
business.
is that those kind of things kind of, stop, some men from going after educated women, because they want that luxury. They don't want to feel somebody push them, give you a push. You say, "Baby, do this." You say, "What? You go to the kitchen and get it yourself. Take your food on your own yourself. What are you talking about? We all work, So then you're gonna feel down, and your friends come over, and you tend to struggle in the kitchen, trying to put the food on the table while your wife is there, and how your friends gonna see that? So all these are, things that is little. The situation is a little complicated, but
It's
I
parliamentary
think we can
problem.
still remain. I think we can still maintain the status quo of women, men being leader in leadership in the household, but at the same time giving women all the privileges needed, like equal pay. like having them to go to work, like having them to have the kind of liberty and freedom that they need. So if we can do that, I think we'll have a better society. But I would stop here. I think, you guys want to just say one or two more things and we can go to the next topic. But interesting topic.
Anyway, Mr. Swane, thank you very much. I mean, you nailed it also. I mean, I have the hope that it will change, but later, maybe, because generations change, the mentality is always, we have realized it also. And you mentioned very important points also, And you see, the threat is always when the women are thinking the same height as the men, for example, your example, and many men don't feel comfortable about it. But for me, I don't see any problem with it, because even if the woman is working and receiving more than me, and there's a problem that I have to stay home as a man to take care of the child, I can do it. Why not? Because it's a family. You understand? Only if it is through love and it's a family, not just saying it with mouth. Because when you say a family, everybody is trying to bring what he can afford. You understand? So when the woman is receiving more than me and don't have the time to take care of the child, it can be an agreement. Here in Germany, it's normal. That's why the government gives you 3 years for every partner when they have a child, because everybody is working. So the family can decide who is going to stay 2 years at home with the child on 1 year or 3 years. Those days, I told my wife, you stay the 3 years, I go and work. You understand? So these are all possibilities. But that is also a mentality thing. If you do that in the Gambia, Mr. Bali, today, you will hear all sorts of things, So why? Because it's the mentality. That's how we see the woman, or see the man who is helping the woman. Some men, they used to help even the woman, but they're afraid to show it outside. Why? Because of the mentality. Because the people will laugh at them. You understand? So these are things we need to change. I think then the women will also feel that they are also human beings and accepted in the society and having the same right as everybody. And I hope that, and the next important thing is this equal pay, which is also very important. I mean, the government should try and do something, because even here, we are having such problems also. The politics is always trying to fight against it, and I know in America it's also not different. But that needs to change, because when the woman is doing the same work as the other, then what is the problem? She is also a human being. She is also bringing energy, So why should there not be an equal pay? Just because it's a mentality thing, the woman should always be under, which is very wrong. Everybody knows that. So why should it be practiced? I mean, the Gambia, we've seen a very good example. The vice president is a woman. But if you go to certain areas, you will see that things are not functioning as we are showing to the world. You understand what I mean? That is only one picture for the outside, but really, it's more to be done. That's my take. Okay.
All right. So if you guys have anything, we can wrap this topic up and go to the next one. Okay. So election 2021, as you know, we are fast approaching. Election 2021 is fast approaching, and preparations are on the way. We have registered political parties. I think the last time I checked, it was over 20. So it looks like this is the election of our lifetime. I used to think that 2016, was the election of our lifetime. But this one, in my own observation, is the election of our lifetime. And if we don't get it right, I think we will forever, it will take us longer than we can expect before we get our hopes back. Why I say this? because we had a golden opportunity. Last time we spoke about it, we have a missed opportunity that we are not, converted. And some people can make, another argument about it. It's fine. You are entitled to your argument. If you think things are going well, hey, that's that's you under your own lens. That's what you're saying. But I personally, I think we have missed a lot of opportunity to be where we need to be. Now, again, this is a transitional government. It's supposed to end 3 years. It is extended because of the fact that a lot of things went wrong among the coalition members and they couldn't agree. They couldn't sign certain documents, and then here we go. Barrow has to continue to 5 years. Now, legally, since that argument wasn't binding, so he would still have, the right to run again. The Constitution is drafted, and it says no person can run 2 terms. So technically, he has another term to run. Now, the main purpose of the coalition was to create a playing field, to make sure that nobody has an advantage coming to an election, to make sure that the person who is doing the transitional government shouldn't run again. Because if he runs, he or she runs. This was the agreement they made. If he or she runs, he will have an advantage. Because if you've been in power for at least even a few years, you kind of build your groups, you build certain foundations. So it looks like all that effort has been thrown out of the window. We're not gonna see that because Barrow having come in for up to this 5 years, he definitely has been doing his homework, try to solidify himself, because he knows that the law allows him to run again since that binding wasn't kept, the coalition binding wasn't kept. And now the fact that, the whole idea of 3 years, the person wouldn't contest again, that has been gone. We're not that the advantage of the incumbent is there for him. So what are Gambian people, what do they want? And what do we want? That's what 2021 would determine. What kind of leadership do we want on the table? What do we want our country to be like? Because the last 5 years or 4 years, it hasn't been where it needs to be. And we all can be the judge. Okay? So I think what we should do as panelists, we can just give our incentive and see what we think would happen. What are our civic responsibilities moving forward? What is it that can get to where we need it to be? So I'll let Alice, Sam can jump on this and Balde.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Alice, did you want to go first? I can go. I don't mind.
No problem. I mean, I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician, but I have something to say. In fact, it's too early, but when I just see that we have not completed even the 2020, and the election is almost 1 year from here or more, that many people place all their tools and thinking and just heading on to this date. So that means from now on going up to the election, nothing big will happen because everybody is concentrating on election, and I mean, they should start campaigning. It's normal, the parties and so. I think they have their respective dates to make their rallies and so, or the parties who are going to apply, things like that. It's okay that they give also enough time, not to wait till it is just 1 month or two, so that they'll have less stress. Yeah, and the only thing I need to tell the people is, as you said, Mr. Sawane, it's the biggest chance Gambians have now. They have given chance Barrow also to show himself. what he can do and what he promised. So at the end of the year, next year, then people can analyze and say, okay, it's okay, he can leave me, continue, or we take Mr. Sawani because we have the hope that he can give us a better life.
I'm not in the ticket, so it doesn't mean. Say my party or somebody.
That's why I choose you.
Oh, Balde. By the way,
Balde, you
Balde
know.
for the ticket.
Okay, you see, so then people can decide. And my only advice is this time, and I used to say it also every time, if you can remember, people should know the use of their voting cards. That is very, very, very important. There is no need having a voting card without knowing the use of it, which is our problem in the Gambia. Most of them, they have it, they don't know what this voting card can bring them. And I think that one we have to tell the people to wake up and know that they are having a very, very, very important tool in their hand. They can change their lives with it. They can live a good life with it when they don't make any mistake. And that's why they go and vote, to make sure that their life being changed and a better life. And that doing so, they have to get somebody, whatsoever, can even be Mr. Barrow, but let them know the use of their voting card. The person who is
And
going to give them,
can even be those that, do you mean that perhaps that might not be the first choice?
where, who, they should be neutral. That's why I say can even be Mr. Barrow, or because in Africa, many people say I'm going to vote for the president, which is very oft the case, just because he is the president. But they don't know that there is another person from another party who can do it worse than him or even better than him. So these are the things people have to first know what they want. And that's the use of this voting card. Let them analyze for themselves, not to say I'm going to vote for this man because he's a friend of my uncle, or we are in the same religion, or we are in the same tribe, which are the influences of our voting systems of the case. Or I'm going to vote for this person because yesterday he gave me $10, without knowing that this man is because of your condition, or things like that. So people have to take their time, not to be confused by rallies or anything. Think of it and make sure that they don't make any mistake. As you said, this is the biggest chance for Gambians. That's why I'm giving this advice. Let them take their time. The whole family can vote for another party, but you being an individual, think for yourself who is going to represent you, who is going to change your life. This is an individual thing. You see, in Europe here, why you vote to this party, your wife vote to that party, because there is this personal problem. There's something about individual problem, not your mother or your wife, or your wife can vote to that person, but you are the person to decide who is going to change your life. So when I say Mr. Swane, then I have to give to Mr. Swane. Doesn't matter what my wife did, or my oppa, or my friend, or and this is normal. But as we are having a young democracy, we have to advise the people, try to show them their rights, their voting rights, the use of their voting, even their voting cards, that they get prepared and use this opportunity for themselves, not for me, not for Barrow or anyone, but for themselves.
Okay.
Then I'll support that. But not to make a mistake now and try to make any problem later. I'll not support it.
Okay.
I'm like that. People should take their time, think of it, because it's an individual thing, and then vote correctly.
Okay. Thank you, Alastair. Thank you. All right. So I will let Sam come in, then Balde. I know they have also a lot to add to this election 2021.
Okay, well, I'll come in now. Thanks, Alice, for your comments and your suggestions there. The way I'm thinking is, you know, first I would like to say in 2016, Gambians voted, there was political parties formed a coalition to get Jammeh out. That was the best thing to do. We, Africa in general, and Gambia especially, we should stay away from having one person lead us for a number of years. 2-term limit should be enough, okay? So we can kick people out that don't do the work and bring people in that's gonna do the work for us. But, and I know in 2016 election, at that point where Gambia was, looking at history of the 22 years of APRC, people would have voted for anybody that was selected, whether the flag bearer was from GDC, NPR, or whatever the political parties are, NRR.
I think even
You
a
know,
stone, even if we put a stone there.
even if we put anybody from there, would have won the election. So anybody would have won, because people were tired of hearing people are disappearing and don't not know where they are. People are getting killed. People are getting imprisoned unlawfully, and all the things that happen. But also with a lot of corruption, with all of our money. Look at how much money Jammeh and his government destroyed from Gambia. All right, so anybody would have won. Now, what Gambia needs to do coming 2021 election is, and we need to think about where we are today. We've voted into, they voted in 20, I didn't vote, so, because I'm in America, yeah, I didn't vote at that time, but, they
But
voted. So Gambians need to see that in 2016, they voted for the flag bearer for the coalition party, which happened to be Barrow. And Barrow is now there, and a lot of people are saying different things now. People have different perspectives. Some are thinking he's doing a good job, and proactive, not reactive. We do not want to make another mistake in 2021 and elect somebody that after 2 years there, we all say, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? We don't want to get that. We don't want to get into that. We need to be more proactive by knowing our candidates before they become presidents. And how do we do that? This is how the Western world is doing it, just like how it's done in America. IEC, I would recommend IEC need to start by getting at least 6 months prior to elections. IEC needs to really organize this by getting arrangements done within all regions and even people in the diaspora to have certain questions written down that are going to be asked these candidates. When they have these questions, people send suggestions to IEC and say, these are questions that I want to know what my candidate is going to do when they become president. They pile up all these questions, pick the best 10 questions out of there, maybe not 10, I'm just picking a number. Could pick the best 20 questions, could be 30 questions, 20 questions that will be asked every single candidate. And we want to see their honest answer and how they're going to handle that. And that's going to tell people a lot of things. So once they got it and have all these questions ready, they go on national television and radio stations and newspapers and advertise, let's say September 1st of they could pick any day, I'm just picking a date. September 1st of 2021, which is prior to the elections, they can say, we're going to have a presidential debate. At that time, all presidential candidates have already been identified. They've done their campaign. They went around, or before their campaign, whatever time they pick. But make sure that presidential candidates all come to a town hall where they have a big place and broadcast this live for all Gambians to see, anywhere you are, on national television, that there is going to be a presidential debate. If Barrow wants to be a president, he wants to continue, he will stand on the podium. You have all the presidential, the party leaders from all the flag bearers from each political party be out there. IEC will have a moderator that is going to moderate, and questions will be asked fairly and at random, so that everyone get a chance to be asked question directly and not wait for the other one to answer first. So they can start with the current president and say, President Barrow, we've seen that you've been in the power for 5 years now, almost 5 years, and our healthcare system is not where it needs to be. What are you going to do? What do you think? Why should we give you our vote for you to be our president? And what are you going to do with the healthcare in the next, in your next term, or in the first 1 year that you're in power now? What are you going to do? We'll listen to President Barrow to talk about that on his own, no advisor, no consultations. This should come out of their brain. They need to be able to sit down.
No teleprompting, right?
What's that?
No teleprompting.
Yes, no teleprompting. No, this is gonna have to be out of their mind. A president, someone that wants to lead a country, you need to be able to have that knowledge, or be able, not necessarily knowledge, but you need to be able to stand up and present yourself. Present yourself, because you know why? Gambians want someone that can stand on world stage at New York City or United Nations Assembly and stand up and talk on their own. Gambians want to see that and not embarrass Gambians. All right. So we're going to ask Barrow that question and ask each of those candidates the same question, and Gambians are going to listen to what answers they're going to give. Then you go from there. Next question can come from someone from that is representing the farmers. The farmers are going to have their questions or two, and ask each candidate what are they going to do to improve farming in Gambia. Then you should have a question from the nurses. What are you going to do to improve our conditions, the way we work in the hospitals? And how are you going to help us get medical supplies in the hospital throughout and not run out? Someone should come out and say, how are you going to stop corruption in Gambia? What are your ideas to stop corruption in Gambia? School students should come out, or a teacher should be able to come out. A question should come from schools that should say, the moderator can read, that should say, what are you going to do to reform education? And they can be specific on what they want to ask in that. Each candidate should have an opportunity to be able to answer all those questions. Then you should have women, someone that represents, or question that represents women, that ask them, how are you going to help women in this country? Women have been suffering. We've been going through a lot of things here in this country. No equal pay, no equal treatment, not enough respect, and all of that. And another question should come that should ask, how are you going to stop the police officers taking bribes and instead of writing tickets and taking to the court, prosecute people, let them pay the court, let that go into government coffers, rather than somebody bribing a police officer and it puts in their pocket and the government doesn't get anything out of that? How are you going to stop that? We need to be able to, someone needs to say, what are you going to do about the Chinese in Gambia? The Chinese are destroying our seas. They're destroying our fish. What are you going to do with how they're polluting our society and all of that? What are you going to do with that? There should be a lot of, these are simple questions that I just thought about, just without even reading anything. Each of these candidates need to be able to answer all of these questions honestly, like I said, without looking at anything. So this is what's going to tell Gambians who has the best plan, who is best at who's going to be best at representing Gambia, who really have good plans with goals that they're going to do to solve our problems, because Gambia is full of problems. We need somebody that's going to come solve our problems, not somebody that's going to come in and enrich themselves. And of course, all political party, all those presidential candidates really need to declare their assets before they get into all of that. IEC will make sure that happens, declare their assets, so we don't see someone that is poor, didn't have anything, and within 2 years, they're building a mansion. We don't want to see that in Gambia. We want people that are going to be responsible, people that are honest, have the integrity, have the leadership skills to lead Gambia. And for Gambians to be able to pick who their candidate is good for Gambians to know who they are. Not only just through the campaign, they need to know who they are, and that can be broadcast, like I said, live television, and everybody can see it. And this is really what's going to help Gambia decide who is going to be the best leader for us, and not pick the wrong person again. And then 2 years down the road, we start talking again. All these WhatsApp forums, more forums are getting created. We need to get him out. We need to get him out. No, let's do the work up front, so we know who we're going to put in as the president before we wait until it's too late and try to fight them out. And then journalists get arrested, people get arrested, tear gas is getting sent to people, and all kinds of things happen, all kinds of stupidity, I'll call it. You know, we need to make sure this happen up front. This is how we can be proactive, and that's the way I think we need to move on, go with the 2021 election, so we can pick the right person that's going to run this country. And
Sam,
I'll stop here for now.
yeah, Sam, thank you for that. Before we transition to Balde, I just want to point out two things that we need to factor while we are, discussing this. One is registration of voters. The IEC has to be very careful and make sure that only Gambian vote. We don't want to see somebody from Senegal getting a voter's card who is not a Gambian, just because a Gambian style are registering group of people from the borders and coming to mess up our election. I think political parties need to take this very, very seriously. We want Gambians to determine the fate of the Gambians and not other nationalities. And also diaspora vote. There is no way in the world that diaspora can be excluded from this, because the new constitution even states that. So we should push for that, and the new constitution shouldn't be, we shouldn't go for it if that aspect of it is not granted, because diaspora contributed to the well-being of Gambia. Look at what the GDP of the Gambia is in the hands of diasporans. So how can you exclude their voting rights? Just because diaspora might be favored by an opposition doesn't mean that is the right thing to do. Diaspora took Jammeh out. Basically, Gambian vote, but diaspora, the fundraising mechanism and the voice is what actually nailed Jammeh down. That's why he hate diasporans. So, but Sam, comment. I think those two factors, registering people outside the country should be really scrutinized. And I know there will be on sport counting. So that's going to favor or
Yep.
So,
Yep, I'll say something to that, and I'll let Balde go. So I just didn't want to take too much time, because I do have a lot to say about this. Yes, when it comes to non-Gambians voting, number one, IEC really definitely should be scrutinizing that. But this whole thing comes from our own immigration people. Last week, I think I heard an audio from Bamba Mas saying that they were giving illegally registering people.
Watching the show.
Right. It was illegally registering. They were illegally registering people to get votes. And my comment to that, I released an audio to that. In response to that, I said, what really needs to happen is our immigration, Gambia's immigration, need to get up. They need to do their job. Think about in America here. If you want to bring some people to your house and give them ID cards or American cards or any kind of card, forgery cards to make them vote or anything, or voter registration or anything, think about what's going to happen. Not only the Homeland Security is coming after you, but even the FBI may be after you as well, because it become a federal crime. So our government, our immigration need to do their job. They need to, the moment they hear that something like that happening, and even before they hear things like that, they need to be watching out for that, so that they are prepared to go raid a place and capture all of those people, arrest them, whoever is there, even if they're from the government, they need to be arrested, because that's illegal to bring people from Guinea or other parts of the African countries to give them Gambia's registration ID cards for them to be Gambia's nationality, or ID cards for them to be able to vote. That's fraud. And they need to be able to raid places like that, arrest them, prosecute them to the fullest law, and let the example be set. And it should be on television. They need to put it all on television. And what I said on that too was, if immigration does that, I know if this was something the government was doing, they will react. They will probably fire those immigration people. That's where diaspora need to come in. We put our hands together, pay their salaries, while we take an attorney for them to go to court, and they will win the court because people outside of the country that are non-citizens are giving citizen rights to vote. That's what they are trying to do. That should be illegal. So if the diaspora people in the diaspora put their hands together, we can hire an attorney that will represent those immigration officers. While they're sitting and not working, we pay their salary until the court is done. And they will win, they will get paid, they will go back to work. If we set that kind of example, that will stop all of that nonsense. Now, going to the diaspora voting, it should happen. We should not have been deprived from voting in the first place during Jammeh's time. Now that it's in the new constitution, we need to make sure that this happens. IEC needs to. It's IEC's responsibility to make sure they lease hands with all the Gambian embassies all over the world to make sure people in those areas be able to vote. I mean, prior to me coming to the United States, I used to work at the U.S. Embassy in Gambia, and I know they voted. People in the U.S. Embassy working there, they voted. And so Gambians overseas should be able to vote using our Gambian embassies to make sure that all of that should be arranged by IEC so that we can vote there. We don't have to go to Gambia to go vote there. Yes, there are people that can go to Gambia that will be Gambia during elections, and they should be able to vote there. But people in the diaspora, that if you know that you're not going to be in Gambia, you're going to vote in overseas, you need to be able to register with the Gambian embassy or Gambian consulate, wherever you are, the closest one to you, register and have your voter's registration and be able to vote, because our voice also matters, is a fundamental right, is our constitutional right.
Thank you. Now we jump into Balde. I know he has a lot also to say. Thank you, Sam and Alice, for that.
No, well, I don't think I have a lot to say because I think we're wrapping up. I just want to make some few points, and then I want to digress a little bit with all of your viewpoints regarding the 2016 presidential election, because that made me in the Gambia. Unfortunately, I didn't vote, and that is another story of its own. Not because I didn't want to vote, but because on the very day of the election, I lost my voter's card while I was on coverage, media coverage to vote.
You saw nobody snatch it from you.
I don't know how it happened. I was in a private car rented by GRTS. You know, I was covering the West Coast, West Coast region, plus Lower River and North Bank. So I had to go to Foni. From Foni, it was like a very hectic assignment. I had to cross over to Badibu. So it wasn't easy for me. And I don't know, that was the first time in my life that I didn't vote in a presidential election. And it really pained me, that voter's card was lost on that very day. So I was among the 2016 guys who decided. But anyway, I was happy with the decision because really Gambia needed a change, and that change was really something that we were all yearning for. But I again want to digress here a little bit, and actually I'm not in the same point with you with regard to the fact that anybody could have won. I think honestly, let's give due respect to the fact that Barrow was very courageous to really take up the mantle, because Yahya Jammeh then was like a lion, ready to devour anyone who was ready to challenge.
Yeah, he could have been killed. He could have been killed. That's true.
Honestly, so that, I want to point out that here that the fact that Barrow was so daring to come out from nowhere to say that he's ready, because one thing was certain for me was if the coalition had lost this election, 2016 election, Barrow would have been history in another unfortunate circumstance. But that would have been, okay, so you wanted to challenge my seat, all right, this will be the last time. You are not going to have a chance again. Because for Jammeh, this election was like a very, very important one for him. For whatever reasons, what was in his head, but it was a very, very crucial election for him. So I don't agree with the notion that anybody could have been elected or electable at that time. It was wrong, because remember, there was a, kind of normal, scene of democracy that obtained within the convention, where the likes of Halifa Saleh, Ahmad Ba were all there in the ballot to contest during the convention, and Barrow happened to beat all of them. So the issue of so that must be mentioned. The only thing was,
but I also wanna. I know some wanna come there,
so
but
you cannot
in the
say,
process,
so you cannot
that,
say
that, that, that
here
process,
that anybody could have won. Honestly, you have to give them
Balde,
that due. You know,
Balde,
this
No.
that
Now let me
for
say
me,
this real quick. Let me say, when I say anybody could have won,
yes.
meaning after the convention, whoever won that primary, that flag bearer, if it was Khalifa Salah, he would not have any choice but to be the flag bearer. He would have been the person, and he would have won. If it was Dr. Aissatou Toure, she would have won. If it was GMC, no, what is it? My Fati's
My party.
party. If he was the one that was
Yeah.
nominated the flag bearer, he would not have any choice but to be the flag bearer for the coalition, and he would have won. So anybody that was nominated from that convention would have won the presidency, not necessarily Barrow. They would have still put their lives on there. They all would have been the candidates for the coalition, and the coalition would have won still.
But remember,
I understand.
Sam,
Yeah.
what happened? What happened? What was different? 2011 and 2016. Remember 2011, there was a coalition. You have what you call NAD, National Alliance for Development and Democrats and Development. You know, there was a coalition. So coalition was not something like new in government political landscape.
Right.
So what was different in 2011 and 2016? Why, if you say Halifa,
No, I think.
listen, no, Alex, let me finish my point.
All right.
Yeah.
So somebody said that process was fixed. They said that GMC didn't have the GMC and the other guy. What's his name? The other guy is our party. What's his name again?
NRP.
NRP.
No, the other one.
NRP.
No, not NRP.
DPDP.
Huh?
What?
Who is the advisor to President Barrow? What's his name?
Who?
Gomez?
Gomez. So those people, their delegates were fixed. Gomez and GMC delegates were fixed from UDP. That's what some people are speculating. So it was the process was fixed. Somebody type it now. And I also had it on the air that the process was fixed and Barrow was fixed to lead the coalition.
Yep.
So now,
my point was
because
regardless of what
that was not the case. Halifa has more credentials at that time. If the coalition want to go by experience and credential and knowledge, Barrow wouldn't have won that coalition flag bearing.
So you mean it was fixed, the whole thing?
That's what people are saying. Somebody just type it now.
Yes, I heard that too.
Here is a little bit of misunderstanding. I think I can understand Sam when he says that anybody, even Mickey Mouse, could have been. That is not because of the qualification of Barrow or whoever he is, but the situation of the Gambians at that moment, the frustration.
But Alex,
that is what
Alex,
Sam is meaning.
Alex, yeah,
we could have voted anybody just to make sure that this man went.
Exactly.
My issue was what was different from 2011 presidential election. We had Halifa Sallah on the ballot in 2011. It used to be Sidi Ajata. So why a political novice like Barrow came out from nowhere and stole the show?
Yeah, but that's because the situation was just
he didn't stole the show. He was put to he was put. You know what is the put? If we had put you, right, you would win.
But you don't force, you cannot force me on Gambian people to vote for me.
No, the only credit you can give to Barrow is accepting the fact that when they came to him and said, we want to make you, UDP want to make you a flag bearer, and he accepts that. He sacrificed his family. I agree with you. He sacrificed his life. Those ones are correct. He has to be given credit for that. But after that, it's like a stone carrying you from one place to another until you get to the presidency. It's not much that Barrow has done technically to win this election. That's what we need to understand.
Yep.
Maybe people were happy that there was a candidate to be voted. Even Mr. Balde would have been the president.
No, I don't think.
Because people were just the point was just to make.
I'm not a political guru. I'm not a political guy.
It's an example just to show you the frustration of the
Exactly.
No, but you are a political analyst, so you have to analyze from both sides. You are an analyst.
Yes.
When you're here, so analyze from both sides. Look at both sides.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm looking at both sides. The point I'm trying to why did I digress, or the fact that we have to be truthful and quite apt in our analytical, in the way we analyze issues. I'm not holding brief for Barrow, or am I holding brief for government? The point I'm making here is clear. What happened in 2011 and 2016 is not different. Gambia, we don't the issue of coalition. They've been talking about it. What happened to what led to the formation of NAD? Why this time around a political novice? I'm just trying to be critical. From somewhere. Why did I say Barrow failed this so? Was not the fact that it's not. I'm not trying to give him credit, but the fact that he was new to the political terrain completely. Why did Gambians, decide to believe in him? When people like Khalifa, we are saying here, we are speculating here that the whole thing was fixed. Well, whatever the truth is, I'm just being critical about the fact that a political novice like Barrow told us so.
Yeah, we have to hit the nail on the head. This is this was fixed. It was said in the beginning.
And the
UDP being the biggest party at that time, okay? And they have the flag bearer. Like I said, I'll give Barrow credit for sacrificing his life to stand against Jammeh, and also to coming up, passing all the educated folks to kind of take the flag bearing status from UDP. At that point, he had done great. Now, after UDP had picked him, that from there, fixing started happening. Those parties, Andrew Gomez, they don't have the delegates, according to what people said. And people like even my Fati, my Fati's DMC, did according to what, and I'm just saying that I'm not there, but according to what people said, they don't have the delegates. It was fixed under the ground to have these people, delegates, come from UDP or other places, and then have whoever at that point that UDP had there would win. So that's why Khalifa and others didn't get a chance. Because when it comes to qualification, when it comes to experience, when it comes to even in any aspect of leadership, Khalifa has an edge over all these folks. That's just
I know. What I'm saying is, don't say it was fixed. Just say that UDP arranged themselves and we are better organized, came up with the how to call it, the power that they had. They threw it on they threw their weight behind Barrow.
They use their
political muscle.
Yeah, they use their political muscle to influence the outcome of the candidates. Yes, I must agree with that.
Exactly. So don't say it was fixed, because when you say it was fixed, maybe they just it wasn't fixed.
We can frame it like that.
Yeah, it wasn't fixed. It wasn't fixed, because if it was fixed, it's like, okay, now we have someone as a candidate. All those who say say yes, raise your hand. All those who are against it, raise your hand.
You got a point.
You understand? Yeah. So it's like it was arranged that let's make sure that our candidate wins. Whoever we select, like you said, even if it's a monkey or a stone, let's select a guy and say that the Gambian people, this is UDP. And remember, what made political point then was a very tough time. Dabo was incarcerated in prison, and so many of the UDP heavyweights were in prison. So London was killed. So it was a very tense moment. Remember, this was April, that did happen, to April 2016. So the countdown to the convention in September, August, September, was tense moment. And people were angry. It was just fresh in the minds of every Gambian. How Solos London was killed like a dog, and then, repression. Jammeh was being emboldened. And then Jammeh will feel that, my biggest political rival is now incarcerated. Done with election 2016. Dabo is a political heavyweight. So are his UDP guys. So we are now, the election 2016 is already fixed, as you are now put it. We certainly going to win. But now, with UDP angry and their delegates coming out to throw their weight behind any candidate, for that matter, I respect the candidates you mentioned here, the likes of Ahmad Ba, the likes of Halifa Saleh, of course. But then here, the strength of the UDP was unmatched by the other parties. So that is why, how to call it, Barrow carried the day. It is like better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. For them, now the parties have decided that let us throw our weight behind a particular candidate. Who is that candidate? Barrow. They say no, but it's just part of UDP. He said, okay, maybe, you know, it's all right. It's our party. After all, you know, it's our party. So for me, that's the point I want to make mention. The
So
issue of saying,
technically, UDP gave us Barrow.
But
good. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
that time,
So that was it.
I would say it was a collective thing, the whole thing, and I can
And-
only express and say congratulations to all Gambians.
Yeah, exactly.
Not any party or anybody,
No,
because even people here in the diaspora, many
participated.
Gambians don't know what they did to make everything possible.
Yeah.
They are keeping themselves silent.
Yeah.
So people should be correct. Just say it's a collective thing.
Yeah.
And that is made possible. Because anybody can raise his hand. Because of me, you know,
Yeah.
doesn't help us.
Yeah,
We
but like,
did it intentionally. We forgot at that time our parties, our party interests and religion interests and everything. Gambians came together and then made it possible. That is showing you what togetherness can bring. You
yeah,
understand?
but like
Many
what,
people say
yeah,
together we are a stone. When we apart, then we are dust, and the dust cannot move anything.
yeah.
So that was
Anyway,
a very good example to show Gambians what is the use of collective.
well, will we have that in
And we show
2021?
the world that we can put any president sitting there when the Gambians are not happy
Is
with
that
it.
okay? So will we
So
have
it's
that
a
in
very good example to anybody, whoever is going to be the next president.
Savannah, will we have
whatsoever.
that kind of cement, concretized relation or a strong pact that, you know, was very strong to 2016 convention for the 2021? You think that is possible?
No, the 20. That's why I'm saying this panel should look at how, you know, like, what do you guys think moving forward to 2021? Because it looks like right now we have learned a lot, and coalition will be very hard. Although there's a rumors going on that APRC and the NPP are on the talks of that, which to me is not only bad news, might be politically the good news for those two parties, because they probably would have a deal on Jammeh's return and probably getting Barrow in stay for another 5 years. But it's a bad news to me because of the fact that that kind of relationship is not what is expected, especially the fact that, you know, what has been done in this country. The victims are crying, looking for justice, and that they haven't seen that. So that's not a good news for Gambia as of now. But again, it's politics. When politics comes, you know, you play all kind of dirty games just to get to the office. But while they're looking at 2021, I think, you know, there's a possibility of coalitions. Well, UDP will tell you that we're not going to coalesce with anyone because we already learned our lesson. We have been betrayed, you know, by our own, and we're not going to do it. But I can tell you, if I were them, I would think about coalition, because if APRC and NPP ever come together, I will not risk that. If I have a political party, I will try to look for something. So I don't know, what do you think, Alice?
I mean, it's definite that in Gambia, what many people don't think of, we have a lot of parties now. It's definite that no party in 2021 will have more than 50% also, even if the wish is there. You know what I mean? It's just like a cake, and if you should divide it into many pieces, at the end, nobody will have more than 50% or even quarter of it. And then there must be
that is if we go
coalition.
by the new constitution.
Yes,
But
sir.
if we don't go by the
must,
new constitution,
there
then
must be a
whoever wins
coalition.
takes, you know, whoever wins even by one vote would lead the
Yeah,
office.
yeah, there must be a coalition to rule. You know, this thing, we have it even here in Germany. You don't have any party who can have 50%. And they have not a lot of parties like now in the Gambia. So you can imagine from the whole thing from 2016, you can imagine with the parties who came also, that you are going to divide this cake into all these things. So nobody at the end is going to have 50. So you either collide with the other, to make a coalition with the other party, or even three parties. We have it here. You know, Angela Merkel is from a big party, CDU, but they cannot have 50% to rule. So they have to get a partner, that is these people from Bayern, who is their leader is the Minister of Interior now, to partner with them to make a coalition, a government, you know. So that's, and the problem will be more in the Gambia. We should not underestimate it. Some will have 20%, some will have 15, some will have 10. You know, doesn't matter which party, how important you are. That is going to be the thing in 21. So the parties will see who is having the most. When the biggest party is having 40, he's having the right to choose with him, with who, I mean, with whom to rule from his choice. When they are having similar political ideologies, things like that. That's how it works. And in Gambia, it's not going to be different.
Yeah.
It's
So
going
that
to be a
Sam,
surprise for everybody. I know.
right. So Sam, you missed it, but what we're trying to say is that moving forward, 2021, that's what Balde and I and Alice were talking about. Like, if it looks like there's a talk between NRP, NPP, and the APRC, which I think, to me, is not ethically, a good move, because being that the former President Jammeh has what he has done, what he had done to the folks, to the victims, that hasn't been settled, and then having his folks being in the government the way they are, and at the same time going back to that arrangement that he probably could benefit, coming home, returning peacefully, and be like a free person. What might also be an incentive for APRC to do the coalition. So those doesn't sit well with the victims, okay, and average Gambians. So, but it's politics. We understand. You control any dirty game to win. So, I mean, we have no control over that. But if I were other parties like UDP, even though they're saying they're not gonna do a coalition because they have learned their lesson with the betrayal of their own. Now, I would be thinking about something. I'll be thinking about Mama Kande, or some kind of heavyweight, a light heavyweight, to add it to my heavyweight. Because if Barrow and NNP comes together with APRC, I'm not saying they're not gonna move the mountain, but that's a strong force that you cannot underrate.
Yep. I totally agree with that. If that's going to happen, even though I doubt that NPP and APRC will come together and form a coalition, I'm not sure. It can happen. You never know. But if that happens, then the other parties need to take a different strategy. They need to take a different approach. And that approach is to just like you said, look at the other ones, Mama Kande, UDP, and My Fati's party. The rest of them come together basically to be able to overcome them, because right now APRC has more people than NPP. So if you put APRC and NPP together, in my view, I may be wrong, but in my view, they. So I better say that before you get there. So in my view, APRC has more candidates than NPP. All right. So, but like I said, I may be wrong.
Maybe,
but yeah.
Sam.
Yes.
Just a point of interjection here. Regarding the issue you talked about, the issue of the debate, that's a point I wanted to bring in here. That is, for me, Haruna Drame of Paradise TV should really be commended. Actually, when I look at the presidential debate that he organized for the past correct me, I stand to be corrected, first and second episode, they are very, very interesting. I look at him like our own Lester Holt here.
Yep.
I mean, very, professional.
He is very effective.
Exactly, like Lester Holt here. The way Lester Holt, moderates, these presidential debates here, it's very interesting. And
yes.
There is no virtual, no difference in the settings, and in the way he's putting things out. My only point of objection, little there, but that is constructive criticism, is to look at the local languages. Remember, most of Gambia's electorate are the people who didn't go to school. We, the so-called elites, do not vote. And if you target us, most of the time, we try to criticize the candidate, we try to come out in the open and kind of help make informed choices. But most of the time, when it comes to voting, we are out of the country. It doesn't matter, after all. You understand? But the electorate, they wake up, look, because 2016 presidential election, I was there. Though I didn't vote, but I saw the way Gambians, we are coming out. You see cute, long cute, especially here at Baribu. Where
Why
the
everybody?
no, the body was they were very angry with the
Yep.
Jammeh.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
they came out. People killed. You can see,
Yep.
look, you will not be able to tell who is voting for who. But look, if you read faces and the interviews you conduct, you know that this is a vote for change.
Yep.
People in the hot scorching sun,
I
people
know.
were killed. They don't want to give up. Some say they will not go for lunch. They want to
Yep.
vote because this
Yeah.
election, Kumayata Bakele,
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. That is
you
true.
understand?
Eh,
So
Yep.
for me, we should really target them in our discourse.
Yep.
In this
Yep.
panel we are doing here, we are not doing it fairly to them because
Sure.
they
Sure.
here
I,
the issues we are talking about. You cannot follow the discussions in the English language because that is based on their choices. When they didn't go to school, you can't blame them for that. But if
right.
you speak
Right.
the local language, like if these debates are because the reason why the debates are conducted in most places in the like in the international language, like English language or German or maybe Finnish or other languages, is because those people in America, there is no other language. English is the official
That's
language.
right.
So you have
Right.
to speak that language. There is no other second language after English, maybe Spanish, and
Right.
that cannot be substitute for English. So
Right.
for in the Gambia, the presidential debate should be conducted in the various local languages that are at least that has high percentage in our census. Like we cannot say okay all the languages because unfortunately some of the candidates may not speak other languages. But let's say the three major languages that are usually the vernacular in the GRTs, mainstream GRTs, news, English, Mandinka, Wolof. You understand?
Yeah.
Even though Sere and Jola is spoken like in the local languages, but you see that in the Gambia, for you to be born and bred in the Gambia, like they are putting in the qualification that you have to be a resident in the Gambia and all these things. For you to be Gambian and you
Yep.
cannot speak Mandinka, Wolof, and Fula,
Then you have a problem.
then you have a problem because it means that
So,
communication would be a problem. And
yeah.
then yes, it's true. You'll communicate to the elite and they will translate, but people will not. The electorate will not see you as part of theirs. Because look, what is good in going to Badibu, Nyakunda, or India, or
Or Iliaza.
or Iliaza,
Or Swarakunda.
or Swarekunda, or speaking in Mandinka, dropping a Mandinka, how to call proverb. They say, oh, this guy is ours. Even if the show name is, for instance, Kamara, or the show name, for instance, is Njai, they say, but I'm Mandinka Bamol, Ameta Jane. He's a Gambian, so he's part of us. He knows our issues.
But Mr.
He knows
Bali,
the
I
farmers'
think they
problem.
used to do it. I think the politicians do it in Gambia. Oh,
What is that?
I mean, I think the politicians, they used to do it when they are making campaigns in
Do
such
what?
areas. That they speak
No, I'm not
local
talking
language.
about. Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. The debates, the debate that I'm talking about the debate. I'm also trying to. Yeah, I know they do that, but I'm just trying to strengthen the point that yes, sometimes you will have a translator, but from the horse's own mouth, like you are the candidate. Let's say someone is a candidate and he goes to a community, a Wolof speaking community, predominantly Wolof speaking community. He can still speak in Mandinka or English and get a translator. But if he speak in Wolof, they will say, "Wow, this one." It's ours. When somebody is good, everybody take credit and say, no, it's not a Mandinka, it's a Wolof. You understand what I mean? So that's the kind of scenario that I want to see us when we are doing when the media is trying to project them and also trying to see how fluent they are with other languages as well. It's also part of, it's also for me, a part of the list that the electorate would see and it will sink, and it will sink in their minds that this is solely ours. You understand? Even though the guy, the main, his mother tongue is a particular language, and the presidential debate also should be extended in the language so that a lot of people will follow. Because now,
But what I always used to say is also, I know that we are having a young democracy and we have a lot to learn. But just before we started, I quoted that, we have to be careful with these influences of our elections. Coming back to we have to take this time a lot of time and think individually, what is our interest. Because as you just say, it's good for the politician to feel accepted because he spoke the language, and the lawyer also accepted him to be one of them, and forget all these problems and the meaning of election. You know, that's what we have to bring here in this platform, the people to know exactly why is there an election and what is the purpose of it, which I think many missed it because of we are having a very high rate of illiteracy, which is normal, and people who are more or less illiterate are maybe 10%. So that's what many people politically use also to get their votes, you know, using their weaknesses. So we have to help these people to know their rights.
I think Sam was saying something when he got interrupted, but he's back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
if your side.
Unfortunately,
Sam.
my kids came in with friends they were riding bicycles with, and they connected all the Xboxes and all kinds of things that they played and interrupted my service here. But what I wanted to say is, yes, what Balder was saying, yes, when I say it needs to be done in English, English is our official language, but really there should be interpretation for other local languages, just like we've been doing before. In the radio and television, when they do news, they do it in other ones, in other languages too. Yes, I agree. It needs to be interpreted for people to understand in local languages, Mandinka, Wolof, and Fula, at least those three. But it needs to be done in English because whoever we select as the presidential candidate, that person is going to go to the to United Nations. They're going to go to UK and speak to them and not in local language. They've got to speak to them in English. When they travel outside of the Gambia, everything they're going to do is going to be in English. That's our official language. They need to speak in our official language, but it can be interpreted into local language. That's what I wanted to say.
I am here.
Okay.
I don't speak English, but I do try.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because my language is
So
Jam
to wrap up,
and Wolof.
I know like
You're
we've
great.
been on this for like close to 2 hours. So it's a very interesting topic, very in depth, and I think we really went. So now just to close up, I know Balde is on his screen is out.
I think maybe
What is the way forward? After all been said, and what is the way forward? And what do we think will happen? Who do you think will win? And what are the fate of these other political parties? So let's wrap up with that. Yeah.
if you ask me, I don't know who is going to win. Let them surprise us at the end of 2021.
Who do you want? Who do you want to win?
Who do I want?
To
The
win.
best person who is going to take Gambia forward, who is going to change the lives of
Who do you think in your right now the people in the field?
Right now, I don't have a list. But at the end, people have to do like me. Who do we think is going to take us in the next level? That is very important. Doesn't matter whether it's your uncle or your brother or your tribe or your religion. We just have to be real to ourselves. That's the only chance we have.
Okay. Thank you, Alice.
Yep, I kind of agree with Alex 100% on that. I do not want to choose, even if my own brother was there running for presidency. I'm gonna tell people, don't vote for him if this is the one that's not gonna take our country forward. We want someone that will really move our country forward, and people will be able to tell that when they go through all the campaigns, all the debates, especially during the debates, and then
I think some is that's the American signal.
My signals has been good so far, so you cannot
Yeah,
blame me.
it was okay. It's AT&T. Maybe your time is off. You know, you have to pay according to time.
I've been
You know,
good so far, so even
but
though I'm out here, because I cannot
can.
plug in all my AC and everything at the same time, but
I know. But
that's
it
why I've been
seems.
hot. Yeah,
It
because if
seems.
I do that, all my lights would go off. Yeah, but some seems to be stuck. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he's stuck in also a very good point. When maybe
yeah.
he'll come back. It's very
Anyway, so let's
interesting.
wrap it up. I think it's like it's like 2 hours in
Yeah,
the program.
yeah. In fact, I have something to do, but all the time I just want to, because I think these two topics were very interesting
Yeah,
and important
yeah,
too. But that's how we
yeah.
can help our people to enlighten all,
Yeah,
to know and get prepared. Because on the other hand, it's their lives.
exactly. Yeah,
So it's very important to think of it, not to be confused by by music or drums or rallies or promises or anything. The people have to be real to themselves and know what they want, because that's the only way we can change Africa.
yeah,
Because till now we are doing that sort of mistake after having problems for 5 years. Then the last 2 months you forget all about your 5 years because somebody came and give you $10. So these are mistakes. I know it's have all to do with illiteracy, but people should know their rights and their voting rights and why they are doing their votings. That is a very important thing. In fact, that's all I wanted to say, Mr. Swane. Maybe Sam will come back.
thank you so
You're
much,
on
Alice.
mute.
So we're gonna conclude. Yeah, so we're gonna catch up next week. Thank you, and
Yeah.
some of our panelists that's dropped, so we pick it up from
Okay.
there. Thank you, all viewers, and stay tuned. All right, the same
Yeah.
time. Take care,
Okay.
Alice. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Swane.
Fat, Fatmata.